So you're dealing with, or you're growing up, or you grew up with someone who was really narcissistic. Maybe they had borderline personality disorder. Maybe they were a psychopath. Whatever and however you came to this analysis of why they are the way they are. It's probably because of the hurt that they put you through, and the trauma, and just the overall day-to-day life, having to deal with them, having to change your personality for them. And a lot of people are, they fall victim to someone who's just really manipulative. However you want to diagnose the person, and I do want to just kind of disclaim that I had a diagnosed parent, so I can kind of talk about my experience a little bit. But when I started dating and I started bringing the same kind of girl in my life every other relationship, I started to kind of be like, all right, I'm the problem, or at least I'm bringing these people into my life to teach me a certain lesson. And it didn't dawn on me until about a year ago that that's the cycle that I was repeating. I think I knew about it 3-4 years ago, subconsciously in my mind. And, I just kept trying to play God. I kept trying to think that there was a way I could either fix these people. And a lot of it stems from, if you grew up with a parent who was narcissistic, it was, at least in my experience, every day I woke up with the goal to not mess up the day, to piss off that parent. You basically had to change a lot about how you approached certain things, talking about school, just making sure you're not even in the slightest bit disrespectful. There's a lot of things that kind of go into having to cater to a parent that will flip on a switch, that will get pissed off, whatever tantrum or experience you had with them that makes you scared enough, or that makes you hurt enough that you come on YouTube to seek advice for other people, or to at least hear other people's experience and how they dealt with it. And personally, how I dealt with it is I stopped being a victim, because once you stop being a victim, you stop bringing those people into your life, because I truly believe that the universe and God just hears you. They see you. God just sees you pouring your life into wanting to get better and heal. And instead of being the victim and woe is me, you're attracting a different kind of energy towards you, and you'll begin to naturally repel those people that try to take advantage of you. You start to become a lot more strong. And that's why ultimately I believe that these people are put in our life by God to teach us a lesson. And that's simply all it is. A lot of people talk about how they were robbed of their childhood. I get it. I went through the same thing, but when you start to reframe how your childhood was, you start to think, oh, okay, well, that wasn't my benefit. I brought this into my life for a reason. If you're really spiritual, you probably think that you incarnated and that you chose this life path. However you want to think about it, the best way to frame it is that these people are your teachers and nothing else. They're going to teach you how to say no. They're going to teach you to get rid of that empathy that you had to develop to please them. Not empathy completely, but not get rid of it completely. But really just start to say no and take more action in your life, and start thinking about what it is that you want to do to better your life versus pleasing them. And that's ultimately about today's video, and learning why they actually are the teacher and why you should frame it that way. So again, I grew up with narcissistic parents, and growing up with narcissistic parents, you're gonna develop a feeling that you constantly are not good enough. And I felt that all throughout my childhood, and the number one way that I even got rid of that mindset and shift that belief was just getting rid of the fact that I was a victim. And I had to reframe how I kept saying, oh, I had a bad childhood. Oh, I was beat when I was a kid. Oh, this happened, this happened, this happened. And although I wasn't I wasn't completely messed up, I had done enough bad things to be able to look back and justify, oh, that's why I messed up here. That's why I failed here. And you really just begin to take accountability when you get fed up of the narcissist's persistence in tearing you down. You're eventually like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, I'm not going to be a victim to this anymore. I'm going to start taking action. I'm going to start actually making my life a priority versus making yours a priority. And relationships, it's a little bit different. I'm kind of speaking more from a parent or someone that you can actually, or rather that you actually kind of grew up with as a kid and developed with, because I think that's where it starts. And then you attract different people into your life as you get older that are like that. That means that you haven't healed what I believe God is trying to teach you. So, or the universe has put that person in your life to teach you a lesson, however you want to look at it. I think both ways of looking at it is beneficial to getting past the problem, or at least approaching it and looking at it from a different light. So the key is to catch their behavior early so you can begin to separate yourself and begin to develop your self-worth back if you hadn't already had any already. Sometimes you develop it in school enough, you play some sports, you start getting this little chip on your shoulder to when you do have the encounter with your narcissistic parent or whoever, there's been enough hours in the day, there's been enough time that you put in to, whether it's working out, sports, school, studying, you start to develop a mind for your own, and then you start to fight back. The problem is that not everyone's going to fight back, and not everyone's going to have the courage to say, no, this is wrong. In my heart, I know that this is wrong. God's telling me this is wrong. And you're not going to be disrespectful to your parent, depending on, what age you are. You never want to be disrespectful, but there's going to be a point where you're going to have to take a stand if it's bad enough, right? And so I do think that going out there and starting to think for yourself, right? And a lot of that can happen when you're at school. So if you're stuck with a narcissistic parent at home and, you're in middle school, high school, you get a chance to go out to college, really use that time to look at yourself and what you want out of life and not what they want for you. So it's a useful tip. I'm going to keep going through this Google Doc that I wrote here. I think it's really, when I read it back before I started the video, I really liked it. So again, as I was saying, unfortunately, there's not everyone is going to be able to develop that chip on their shoulder to make a stand, and they're going to go throughout their whole life bringing in the same kind of people, and they're just going to keep getting stepped on and stepped on and stepped on. And so that's what this video is for. I want to bring as much value to you guys. I want to bring as much value as I can to hopefully find someone and get someone to just flip a switch to where they're like, you know what, this dude's right, I'm going to change, right? Or I'm going to, do X, Y, Z to get out of this situation. So depending on where you're at in your life, whether you're grown adult, you're in your 20s, teen, preteen, dealing with narcissistic parents feels impossible, but you're not alone, and you got plenty of people who are on your side and that want you to do better. And you just have to find those people, because God is going to surround you with like-mindedness. And if you want to start becoming a certain person, God's going to eventually bring those people into your life. A new teacher, right? Like, your teacher is kind of sucks now, right? Like, you're learning to, gain this resilience and this strength through dealing with this person. And then once you start reframing that, and you bring in the new teacher, and then the new teacher is going to be, real estate investor. The new teacher is going to be the GM of a dealership who brings you in under his wing. Whatever the sector, whatever part of your life you're in, there's going to be a teacher that comes in that's going to be able to help you with that next part of life when you're ready. So realizing that your parents are doing their best is going to be key to help heal your inner child, but it's also going to be key in realizing that, again, your parents are just doing the best that they possibly can. And if they have hurt you, it's the only way to reframe it, or rather to frame it, is that they're doing the best that they can, and that you have to take what they're teaching you and how they're treating you as, this is my lesson from God to become better, to become stronger, to learn how to deal with these kinds of people. Now, if you resent them, and this is the whole point of it, if you resent them as someone who was just ruining your childhood, they did X, Y, Z, they messed, if you really believe that, even if you feel like you moved on, if you really believe that, then you are a victim. You are playing victim in the back of your head, whether you portray it or not, it's there. And so until you forgive them, you're not going to be able to feel the grace of having gone through that trauma and having to have dealt with that person. Because once you say no to the narcissistic parent, they start to be like, oh my goodness, like, this guy doesn't want to be around me. My son doesn't want to be around me. This person is just, now they pull back. And again, it's very hard for me to kind of speak about who, because I don't know who I'm talking to. I just started this channel. I don't know who my audience is, but for me personally, once I got away, when I turned 18, and once I got away from both of the parents who were narcissistic, I began to heal. It took a long time. And in the first video that I made about how YouTube helped change my life, it was a lot of different YouTubers, videos, and books that helped transform me, because my teachers and my guides, they were my teachers and my guides. They were there to teach me a lesson. And it's on to the next one. And so God ended up opening up more doors to people that were more of a mom or dad figure than the actual mom and dad, right? So God's always going to open up the right doors at the right time, but you have to heal and you have to learn the lesson before. And that's why the whole video is about these people being our teachers, because they really are. At the end of the day, we have to appreciate them. And at the end of the day, God's put them in our life for a reason. So to kind of wrap up the video here, again, you're not to blame for their behavior. Learning to say no is going to be your secret weapon. And it doesn't need to be triggering against the narcissist. Just come up with a valid excuse of why you need to say no. That's where it's going to start. If you're younger, just doing your best to stay out of the way. You don't necessarily have to cater your emotions to them, but staying out of the way is going to be your best bet, and getting out of the house and betting on yourself. Because if you're in a state where they're making you feel so bad, but you don't have enough money to move out, or you're scared, or you're relying on them, that's exactly what they want, right? So you need to get away from that somehow. And you can leave comments down below. I have a free coaching strategy on Calendly. All you have to do is just book a day, book a time, and I'll talk to you guys about anything. So you're defeating a spirit. Your goal right now, right? If you're still kind of a victim to this, you're still dealing with them. Your goal is to defeat the spirit which is attacking you before you could even comprehend how to speak. And again, I'm talking about parents. So it's a spirit in them that is kind of, again, whether you look at it as attacking you or not, I'm referencing that because that's how I felt originally before I reframed it. Now, again, they're your teachers, but you're still feeling attacked, right? Like, everyone's had a teacher that didn't like them, or at least me. I've had plenty of them, and I always felt attacked. So that's kind of what I'm referencing there. You'll be thankful for the experience once you reframe it, and you'll really once you get this relief, and once you truly forgive in your heart, you're just happy. You're like, man, I'm glad I actually had parents that were like this. I'm glad that I grew up in this particular household, because it ends with me, and it ends with me. And I end the family curse, or I end whatever you want to call it, the generational trauma, and it ends with me. And it's simple as that. So again, I do want to know, I want people to comment down below and talk a little bit about their experience, and, try not to paint it into a negative light. Tell us about what happened with you, and how you've been able to reframe it, and how you've been able to overcome it. But the biggest thing is to actually forgive people, is to actually truly forgive the narcissist, and realize that it's not personal. That, well, you could say it's personal, right? There's actually a lot of different ways you can look at it, but I would like to think it's not personal, and that this is God teaching me a lesson. And whether you think that they're evil or not, it's just a way of framing it. There's always a different perspective of how to look at things. And the best way to look at it, again, is to look at that person as a teacher. And it's a hard teacher, it's a hard class, but once you get past it, you get that awesome feeling of walking across stage, grabbing the certificate. And that's essentially what you're doing in the spiritual realm. That's essentially what you're doing, is you're graduating this particular grade, this particular course, this particular chapter in your life. So, stay humble, don't play victim. Again, if you guys have any questions at all, if you have any stories, comments, leave them down below. Subscribe if you like, kind of the content that I'm talking about. And again, I have free coaching call down below. You can book a call and book a time, or rather book a date and book a time, if you guys want to talk about anything in particular when it comes to the Bible, self-improvement, whatever it is that you want to talk about, I'm here for you guys. Peace out, peace and blessings, and till next time.